Hello. Jesus knew a man, I guess from the time that he was a little boy, and he's been watching this man for a long time. But Jesus didn't begin to preach until he was the age of 30. So even if this man seen Jesus before in the crowd, whatever, he didn't know who he was coming up as a teenager or whatever. Why he didn't hear about Jesus, I don't know, but that's what the Bible says. But Jesus knew the age of this man because Jesus knows everything. And I remember learning about this story when I first got saved. My dad was telling me to learn. I knew almost every chapter in the book of John, what it's about. So let me go ahead and read this. This is John chapter 5. I need my glasses. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now, there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. So there's a certain season, I think it might have been like each year there's a certain season, like we know spring begins in March, and let's just say between March and May, well, before summer. So between 2-3 months, there is a movement of the water. It only happens one time. So people had to come by the pool, and they knew it for years that the angels get into the water and they stir it up. When they see it stirring up, then that's the healing. So you had to be there every day. They didn't know what time it was going to be, but it's just a certain season. So they all lay by that pool. Because on 4 it says, for an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. After that, there's no more. They have to wait till next year. And I am saying this, I read a lot of different stories, but coming up, I used to hear preachers speaking of this man not doing anything to be healed. And that is not true. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years, for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, wilt thou be made whole? So this is the time that Jesus comes to heal. Why he chose, I don't know if Jesus came many times, but that day, he follows what the Father says. So he knew that a lot of people need to be healed. So this man didn't know that Jesus healed. He didn't know who he was. So he couldn't turn around and say, hey, can you heal me? But this is what it is. The impotent man answered him, sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I'm coming, he gets up, whatever condition he's in, he might have been lame, he probably had a limp, whatever it was, he moved very slow. Or, and he tried to, they have to stay as close as the pool as they can so they can get down. But for 38 years, he's been doing that. And a lot of people that have a disease would be far better to get in that pool versus a man who could hardly walk. He couldn't walk. But even though in his infirmity, he was able to move slowly. He said, and I think after 38 years, I think I would be like down by near the pool, which I believe that he was. He said, I have no man when the water is troubled, and I'm doing it by myself. Everybody see that I need help. Everybody at this pool needs help. But even though they can walk and I can't as fast as them, they're going to jump in before me. But while I'm coming, he said, he got up. While I'm coming, another stepped down before me. They beat me to it. Jesus said unto him, rise, take up thy bed and walk. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, It is the Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, he didn't even know who he was. He didn't even know that he heals. If he knew Jesus or heard of it, he might have heard about Jesus, but he didn't know who he was. He said, he answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. Then asked they him, What man is that was said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who he is. He didn't know who he was. But by looking at him, he didn't know that Jesus could heal. Maybe he was locked up in the house and he didn't know. Maybe he heard about it and didn't, he didn't know who Jesus was. But Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. So Jesus healed and moved on. He didn't stand around, I healed. He went on. But by Jesus knowing everything, Jesus knew where to find him because it was something that Jesus had prophesied on him about. Afterward, Jesus findeth him in the temple and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon thee. Which tells me that whatever got him in that condition, it could have been a sexual type of disease. It didn't say, it said he was impotent. But whatever sin he did, it caused him to be in that position. Jesus said, sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon thee. Maybe something that I don't have to cure you from, even though Jesus can cure. But this man sinned that caused his position, the why he is. But he did get up. He didn't move as fast. But that's almost like, I hate to say, a lot of people, they try to win the mega millions, whatever. They put their money in and they try, and they might have went before somebody else, or somebody got the right number. But I know some people that play for years and never win. So this man made an effort to get up, but just because somebody else beat him, they were healed. But then there was more people that came around that could walk faster than he did. And so when I hear preachers say the man was too lazy to get up, he just wanted to be healed, that is not so. The Bible flat out says that he told Jesus, "Why I'm coming, they jump in before me. They know I can't move as fast. I've been doing this, it wasn't like an everyday thing. He had to wait another whole year before that happened. Somebody jump in, another whole year." And usually people come to Jesus and ask, can I, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me, or I'm blind, I want to see, or my daughter's vexed, or my son has the palsy, all these things. But because this man didn't know. He didn't know who he was. So all he knew was like, I'm going to make another effort to get up and get healed. Once that person and woman and man is healed, they go back home. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. Then answered Jesus and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. I do what the Father tell me to do. Why did you wait 38 years to, if you know him, Jesus seen him all this time, but this man still didn't know who Jesus was. He's just like anybody else. But God had a purpose. And Jesus didn't start doing ministering until he was 30. So the man had been doing this for 38 years. He was a certain age when Jesus was a young boy, and Jesus saw him all the time. For the Father loveth the Son, and showed him all the things that himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. So God knew that this man, of course, God knows everything. But God said, I want him healed today. Go to that man, go. He said, Wilt thou be made whole? Why did Jesus do it? Because the Father told him. Even though Jesus is the Father, but Jesus, I explained on one of my videos that Jesus is the Father. It's just God made himself in the flesh, and everything that God created, God is the Father of. So even though he created himself to be flesh, he was still on the throne. He made himself an individual person, and that's why he said, I must go to the Father. Don't touch me. I have to go back to the Father. So anyway, he's the only begotten Son. He's the one that came out of God. God formed us out of the dust. He created the angels, but Jesus came forth out of God, and God made himself, just like it says, Jesus was the wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. For the Father judges no man, but have committed all judgment unto the Son. You hear that? God gave Jesus the authority to judge, because Jesus is God. For the Father judges no man, but have committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son, honor not the Father which hath sent him. Okay, I'm done. But I have many stories that I really adore. Just really something. But I've just been, I'm randomly getting things, I hear preachers say that all the time when I was young, this man, and I hear people talking about that, like in person, like this one man that didn't even get up. He was too lazy to get up. No, the Bible says he did. He said, as I was coming. Can't help it that he was moving slower than everybody else. That was his condition. But whatever condition it was a sin. And Jesus said, sin no more, that's the worst thing come upon you, so you be hung. All right, that is it.